All right, so a few days ago, I posted something on Facebook that, yeah, if I'm being honest with you, I wrote it specifically to stir the pot. It was about Ben Affleck selling his AI film studio to Netflix for a deal reportedly worth up to $600 million. My basic take was, while everybody else in Hollywood is busy trying to sue the future into submission, Affleck took a look at the exact same wave, figured out where it was going, and cashed the check. I said that I admired the guy. Predictably, not everybody agreed with that. I got some pushback. I got some sad face emojis. I got at least one guy who felt that Ben Affleck had personally thrown him under a bus, which, I mean, pretty sure Ben Affleck doesn't know he exists, but whatever. I appreciate the passion. But buried in all of that, a few people started to ask me a different kind of question entirely. Vin, which tools are you actually using? Are directors okay with this? How far down the road have you actually gone? And that, my lucky little friend, is what today's episode is all about. Believe it or not, one of the first shockingly useful applications that I found for AI was in getting better reference photos of the talent. On most of my jobs, production will send me some form of casting information. Now, sometimes it's just headshots, but increasingly, I'm getting links to the actual auditions. I love getting casting sessions sent to me because I get to see the actors performing the role. But the obvious limitation up until this point has been the fact that when actors are auditioning, they're either looking straight at the camera or slightly off center of it. Now that's great if I happen to be drawing a frontal shot of the actor, but at some point I'm going to need to draw a shot from either the side or rear three-quarter or whatever. And in the past, that simply meant I had to envision that angle myself. But now I can simply scrub to the exact point in the performance that I want to capture, screen grab it, and then jump into Nano Banana, which, in the off chance that you've been recently kidnapped and held in a dark basement for the entire 2 years it took your family to scrape the ransom money together, is Google's image generation model. Simply load up the photo, give it a very simple prompt, and 10 or 15 seconds later, I've got the exact photo reference that I need. I'm gonna screen grab that, jump back into Photoshop, and about 3 to 5 minutes later, I've got her completely drawn up. I spent last week working on a Fox Sports job that involved a very large cast of characters. I was able to employ this trick over and over again to great effect, and it really helped me deliver highly accurate storyboards in half the time it would have taken me normally. If you're drawing live action storyboards and you get casting auditions handed to you, I highly recommend you adopt this practice. The only pushback I've ever gotten is if the actor in question happens to be a minor. Nano Banana is not keen on showing children. No siree, Bob. But when it does work, it hands me exactly what I need. I trace it, I'll move on, and I get back to my side hustle of creating child pornography another day. All right, so the next obvious use for AI is just generating reference material from scratch. Now, normally, if I need photo reference, I just drop into Getty Images, I dig around for a little bit, and usually you find what you need. However, I found myself in a tricky spot yesterday on a Gatorade commercial. There was a scene in the commercial depicting some woman just doing a bunch of mat Pilates. Now, it may shock you to learn this, but your old pal Vinny doesn't know anything about Pilates. I know. Hard to believe. Take a moment if you need to. Now, the problem I encountered was the fact that although the internet has roughly 9,000 photos of women doing Pilates, every single one of them seems to be shot from the same 3 or 4 boring angles. It makes sense because they're not trying to be dynamic, they're just trying to show you how the pose is performed. But in a commercial, that's rarely what you want. You might want the camera low to the ground looking up. You might want it high looking down. You might want something that just feels graphic or dynamic or just, I refuse to use the word cinematic. So let's just go with interesting, just something interesting. And the internet will look you dead in the eye and tell you, nah, sorry, I don't have that, no, good luck. So instead of digging through page after page of almost but not quite, I ended up just building the shot myself. Now, I decided to depart from the Google web interface and instead jump over to Google Flow, simply because Flow allows you to generate 4 images simultaneously, which, as you might imagine, really cuts down on the production time. I told Google Flow what I needed, I gave it the angle, and it handed me something that I could actually trace. That's a bigger deal than it might sound, because sometimes the problem isn't that you have the wrong reference, it's that the reference you need simply doesn't exist anywhere. A few weeks ago, I did a spot for an insurance company, and I can't remember what it was, but whatever. It involved a woman standing outside of her house. Now, she had dug a moat around her house, and she put a drawbridge in. Good luck finding that photo on Tumblr. A situation like that used to mean you were on your own. Now it means you spend 30 seconds typing something in instead of 45 minutes looking around and coming up empty. All right, this next one is pretty similar to the casting situation, but with location photos. Every once in a blue moon, the angle that the director wants me to draw is simply not represented in the location photos. Now in the past, I would just kind of have to Frankenstein that new angle together in my head, but that was then, this is now. Today, we're just gonna copy that photo and drop it into Nano Banana. For example, here are some location photos for a UPS job I did recently. Now, let's just say I wanted to take this photo on the bottom left, and instead of being a frontal angle like this, I like to see it from a 3/4 side angle. All I do is select it, copy it, open Nano Banana, and paste. Select Create Image, and then we're going to give it a very simple prompt. For some reason, I found that simpler prompts tend to work better than long, complicated ones. Click Enter, give it a few seconds, and boom, there you have it. That is the front 3/4 angle on the exact same loading docks. Couldn't be easier. All right, for the next example, we're gonna ask it to do something slightly different. We're gonna take this high angle that we're looking at here, and we're gonna ask to see this from an eye level perspective. The reason I wanted to specifically show you this request is because this is a pretty good representation of the only difficulty I've ever had in manipulating location photos with Nano Banana. See, what I've found is that when you're asking Nano Banana to move the camera on the X-axis or the Y-axis, it gives you very little to no pushback at all. However, if you ask it to move on the Z-axis, which would be tilting up, tilting down, or just say raise the camera or lower the camera angle, it struggles. So the first time I ran this prompt, I got, well, pretty much what you're looking at here, which is the exact same camera angle with the only noticeable difference being a slight deviation in the direction that their heads are turned. Now initially I thought this was because I used the term eye level and that maybe Nano Banana was focusing on like literally leveling out the eyes. But I ran the prompt a second time avoiding the term eye level and still didn't get it to budge. I then switched from fast mode to pro mode and boom, I got it right away. I want to show you one final example before we move on. And this time, we're going to make things just a bit trickier for Nano Banana. Let's select this photo here, copy it, paste it into Nano Banana, and ask for it to show me this exact same scene, but from the point of view of the forklift driver. And boom, that's pretty close. It's actually a lot closer than I thought we were going to get. We are missing the hands on the steering wheel, so let's go ahead and revise the prompt down here. And a minute or so later, we get this final image, which is really quite good. From here, I would trace these foreground elements onto one layer, and I would draw the background layer separately because I did want the background to be a bit closer, and we didn't quite get that. But for the sake of arguments, let's just call this one a success and move on. All right, this one may be less exciting than the others, but I use it all the time, so it's definitely worth mentioning. Every once in a while, a director will send me a location photo at a 4:3 aspect ratio. I'm not exactly sure why this is, but it happens more frequently than you might imagine. In a situation like that, I use Photoshop's generative expand to simply pull the sides of the image out to a standard 16:9 and fill in the gaps. Again, maybe not very exciting, but just 5 years ago, this would have seemed like magic. And speaking of magic, another cool little trick I use in Photoshop is to remove people from location photos. When a director takes these photos on the scout, he'll usually have crew members stand in where the actors are going to be. It's very helpful when I'm drawing them because it means I don't have to second guess the blocking. But in the next upcoming section, I'm going to show you how I use Gemini to trace my backgrounds. Now this is by far the single greatest time saver that I've discovered. Before I trace these backgrounds, it's ideal if I can remove the people and just get a nice clean photo of the location. Generative Fill does an excellent job of doing just that. You select the person, you hit the F7 key, a few seconds later, it just removes the person very cleanly. I'm actually quite shocked at just how good it is at this task. And it's not limited to just people. For this exterior shot, the director wanted a clean shot of the storefront without these cars messing up the composition. Select the cars, hit F7, give it a few seconds, and you're good to go. Next up, we're moving on to backgrounds. And honestly, this is the big one. I created a gem inside of Gemini that traces all of my reference photos for me. Right, and if you're not familiar with gems, you can kind of think of it like a Photoshop action. You record your instructions once, from that point on, every time you load a photo and you hit go, it just traces it for you. What I love about this, and what I worked so hard to create, is this organic, hand-drawn quality. What I was trying to avoid was just a clean-looking vector illustration with It's perfectly straight mechanical lines that have no deviation whatsoever and are completely devoid of any character. When you have background photos like this one that involve a lot of just intricate detail, being able to pass this off to the AI is just a godsend. As happy as I am with this current gem, in a moment I'm going to show you an alternative that can be used with Nano Banana Pro, and in my personal opinion is the superior path forward. Now, the prompt that is driving this gem is listed in the description below. However, the prompt is only one half of the equation. The second half is a set of visual reference pairs. Now, this is the key that allows the engine to work. As you can see here on the left-hand side, I got a set of photos, and on the right-hand side is my tracings of those photos. I made an effort to include interiors, exteriors, figures, vehicles, as much of a variety in the subject matter as I could pull together. Why pairs instead of just words? Because it is exceedingly difficult to capture the nuances of your hand-drawn style using only words. Giving Gemini the reference photo and then my drawing of it allows it to reverse engineer my process of tracing an image. It sees that foreground objects get twice the line weight of background objects. It sees which lines I emphasize, which ones I drop, where I simplify, and where I commit. Now, prior to Nano Banana 2, I did actually create a set of prompts that did a fantastic job of tracing these images using Nano Banana Pro. I still use them today, and I will show those to you shortly. However, if you're stuck using Nano Banana 2, please understand it is a completely different animal, and that animal needs to be fed sets of images. So the gem, the prompts, and my reference pairs, they're all in the description below. But there is one thing I need to mention that I know you don't want to hear. Do yourself a favor, don't use my drawings. Use the system, steal the system, but trace these photos yourself in your hand with your line quality. Because if you just drop your characters over my backgrounds, it's just going to end up looking like a ransom note. Two completely different handwriting styles fighting each other in the same frame. So, trace the photos yourself. Replace the references in the gem with your drawings, and then guess what? Now it's learning you. And that is where the magic begins to happen. Now, before I wrap up this section of the video, I did want to mention that if you do have access to Google Flow, then you might find these Nano Banana Pro prompts do a superior job. I will include all of these below, but just to give you an example, if we open up Google Flow, I will load in this photo of a library from a job I did a few months back. This is a perfect example of the type of background that I would use AI to trace, simply because there is so much detail in this location that if I had to draw this by hand, it would take me 30-40 minutes at least. So I'll paste in my prompt, and after a minute, we get these 4 images. Now, take a look at the level of detail. All of the books on the shelves are drawn. Take a look at this mural on the right-hand side that I captured. Each of these 4 images is slightly different, which of course gives you options, so you're not sitting here just rendering over and over and over again. Now check out the level of detail on this post in the middle, for example. And all of this detail, it still has that hand-drawn line quality, like somebody drew this with a Pigma pen. Now look at this hatching on the pillows on the couch, for example, in the corner here. I just love this, man. There is something about this, I don't know, I just find it so endearing. Now, as I mentioned, I've got 5 or 6 of these prompts. Each one does something slightly different. Just to give you an example, we'll try another image from the same library with a different prompt. After a minute or two, we get these 4 options to look at. So again, just look at this bookshelf on the side. Look at all these individual books and how they all seem like they were drawn by hand with a pen. To me, this has so much character, so much personality. I would have no problem whatsoever using this background in my storyboards. All right, just to put a big red bow on all this, I'll use one final photo from this library with yet another prompt. Now this prompt was written specifically to focus on varying line weight. And if we look at the first image it created, you can see a substantial difference, especially in terms of the level of detail on these books in the shelves. It managed to write the titles and the spines of all these little books and still maintain a hand-drawn line quality. Now I've included all of these prompts in the description below, so if you do have access to Flow, I encourage you to play around with these. All right, and before we close this out, I did want to take one moment to mention a brand new tool in Photoshop called the Rotate Image tool. This is currently only available in Photoshop Beta. It came out less than a week ago, but I already find myself using it constantly. All right, just to test it out, I've got this image of a flip clock from a recent Intuit job I did. So first thing I'm going to do is duplicate this layer. And then in the top layer, I'm going to select all. And in the context window down here, just click on Rotate Object. Now we're going to need to give it a minute while it creates the 3D object.
Then we'll hide the bottom layer here so it's a little less confusing. And that's it. And boom, just look at that. That is so cool. Look at that. Okay, so this bottom slider rotates it horizontally. And the one on the left is going to rotate it vertically. But then check this out. The one on the right-hand side of the frame, it controls the lensing. Like, how awesome is that? You can actually control the focal length. That is so wild. I can imagine 100 different ways that I'll end up using this when I'm storyboarding. This could easily become my favorite AI tool. When I'm looking for references to draw from, I'll frequently find hundreds of photos of the subject, but it's always... When you're looking for references to draw from, you'll frequently find hundreds of photos of the subject, but they're always taken from these very boring angles. So I'll end up spending hours in the course of a single day just scouring the internet looking for the subject that I need, but from a decent angle. Now I can just grab any photo, the first photo I see, and just force the angle that I want. This is going to end up saving me so much time.
That's how I'm incorporating AI into my storyboard work. But honestly, that's the boring half. The tools I've been using for AI filmmaking, they're a whole different animal. We're talking about a suite of products that just make everything I just showed you look like a warm-up act. And if that's something you want to see, let me know in the comments. I'll get to it in another future video. In the meantime, the gem, the reference pairs, the prompts, they're all in the description below. Grab them, replace my drawings with yours, and see where it takes you. And if you spent the last 3 months screaming into the void, trying to figure this stuff out on your own, you're welcome. If you're feeling particularly generous today, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button below. It would really help me out, considering the fact that for the first time in 6 years, I've decided to actually start taking this channel seriously. Subscribe if you'd like to see what that ends up looking like. Until next time, this is Vinny DeLay with Ink and Grow Rich.